I'm Charles Payne, and you're watching Making Money is America in a Recession. Check out this email from one of my subscribers I got just this morning. I've been a small business owner since 2006, and I've weathered some tough times, but January, February 2015 have been the worst ever for me. Something doesn't feel right. It feels like '08 all over again. Well, I got to tell you, it's hard not to argue something is not right with this economic recovery. In fact, check out industrial production. This number came out on Friday. Negative now for 5 straight months. Then, of course, there's GDP, right? That's how we measure all of these things. It could be revised in the first quarter to a negative number and then come in as a negative number for this quarter. That would be your textbook definition of recession. And, of course, if cornerstone foundations like housing keep slipping, that could actually be the case. Now, today we saw home builder confidence, and even though the number's been up, it's plateauing a little bit. It dipped from the previous month, and it came in today below the consensus. The industry was looking for it to be up. Instead, it came down 2 points and below 57 from just a month ago. So, of course, Main Street continues to feel, of course, like, hey, they've never gotten out of a recession. And to quote, this is the reason why. We'll quote Ronald Reagan. If your neighbor lost his job, it's a recession. If you lose your job, it's a depression. All right, guys, let's meet the investment pros. Back from Vegas, everyone's looking a little weary still. A long weekend. Paul didn't go with us, but he still looked like he had fun somewhere this weekend. Paul Dietrich, Fairfax Global Markets CEO and Chief Investment Officer. Hillary Kramer, looking fantastic. A&G Capital President and Chief Investment Officer as well. She had fun, I'm sure, in Vegas. Still glowing, right? Jim Awad, Plimsoll Mark Capital Managing Director, is with us as well. And, of course, Matt McCall, Founder and President of Penn Financial Group. And in Chicago, Steve Cortez is BGC Partners Trading and Senior Strategist. And again, he is joining us live from Chicago. Guys, let's dig into the first real deal. I'm going to come right on and ask you, Paul, are we in a recession?
Well, look, here are the facts. We are having the slowest economic recovery since World War II. But there are a lot of good things happening in America. I mean, we're the largest oil producer now. Manufacturing is moving back to the United States. Employment is going up. We know what happened in the first quarter. It was disappointing. A lot of it was weather. The port
It's like an
stuff.
Obama ad. What manufacturing is moving back to America?
You know, the thing is, we're not going into recession. We're going to see above average expansion, above trend expansion for the rest of the year.
Steve, I know a lot of people have learned how to celebrate mediocrity, including Wall Street. But, I mean, if that's the best Paul can do, he may lose his gig on the next. I mean, come on. Right. A lot of people feel like, rightfully so, maybe we've never even escaped recession.
Charles, you and I are not in that camp of celebrating mediocrity. Remember the Reagan days, by the way, of recovery, of 5% growth? By the way, that is America's potential. We can grow 3, 4, 5, 6% if we have the right policies in place. And I think we will, by the way, eventually. So long term, I'm still incredibly optimistic and bullish. But near term, I think there are a lot of reasons to be very, very worried right here. And are we in a recession? I'm not sure if we're in the technical definition of a recession, but we are darn close. And if you talk to anyone on Main Street, by the way, get out of New York City, get out of San Francisco, talk to people on Main Street right now. They are not feeling terribly optimistic about this economy. They are hanging on. They're not thriving.
Matt, I think that's a real point, right? To Ronald Reagan's point, it doesn't matter what the guys in the ivory tower say. A lot of people feel like they never got out of recession. There's a lot of hopelessness out there. Therefore, a lot of things that traditionally come with the rebound, whether it's, on the Main Street side, starting businesses, or on the business side, opening up real manufacturing and real capital expenditures. None of that's been around.
No, and you and I and Hillary saw that firsthand. We were in Vegas last week just talking to people. The pessimism, even from people that are successful, that still have jobs, that are making money in the stock market, and they're still a bit pessimistic on where the economy is going right now. And that is a concern for me because with the consumer being such a large portion of this economy, eventually, you train your brain to not spend, to think pessimistic. And when that happens, our entire country's in trouble. I think we're going to snap out of it. But for right now, we are potentially on a downward spiral that could really expand and hurt this economy.
Jim, you've seen your share of rebounds. Certainly, I mean, even if you weren't a Wall Street person, you can see something is not necessarily right with this recovery.
Well, that's because it's bifurcated. The rich are getting richer and doing exceedingly well and better, and the poor really never got out of a recession.
Why is that? If they took moves, this administration took moves to make sure that wouldn't happen. They raised taxes almost immediately. They've made it tougher with regulations on businesses. Right. They deliberately tried to somehow artificially orchestrate a recovery that would focus on the lower end of the income ladder, and instead it got worse.
Well, that's because they were involved in income redistribution as a philosophy. If they had done what Ronald Reagan did, which is to lower taxes and lower regulation at a time when you had easy money, we'd be growing at 5 or 6% now. So you put it all together, and you have half the country doing well, half the country not doing well. You average them together, and we're growing at about half the rate that you would expect we would grow at this point.
You know, Hillary, Steve talked about GDP and, the idea that we could have an annual GDP of 5-6%. You saw the GDP graph that I had up there. We tickled 5% on a quarterly basis, maybe 3 or 4 times. So for the most part, we've been around 1% quarterly GDP. How does that happen in the most amazing dynamic economy ever structured in mankind's history?
Well, it's because we have a jobless recovery, and it's because truly manufacturing, as you said, is leaving the United States. But that being said, we've had other areas of development, and yes, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, but those rich that are getting richer, they're spending a lot of money and they're making a lot of money. Just look at the stocks that made 52-week highs today. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Blackstone. Wall Street is getting really rich. They're multi-billionaires now.
So it's all bifurcated. That's the chorus. That's what we're hearing here.
Well, I disagree. I mean, we've stopped the exporting of jobs to Asia because it's just getting too expensive over there to manufacture things and bring it back. And if you look
Paul,
at
have
the
you seen
jobs
this year how many
back,
auto plants have opened in Mexico versus America?
Yeah, but we're getting German plants coming into the United States, and we're getting computer operations from China coming into South Carolina. They're building a $2 billion plant.
I mean, but just look, Paul, at a company like Cognizant, IT outsourced to India. Luxoft, it's basically Russia IT.
So let me switch gears a second.